Yes, guys, welcome back to another episode. And today we're going to be looking at where next for Marcus Rashford. In a recent interview with Henry Winter, he suggested that it looks like his time at Manchester United will be over. Where can he go? We're going to be looking at specific clubs to see if he'll be the right fit. It is a shame. I can't lie. The sad reality is it is a shame for Man United fans, for Marcus Rashford himself, because this was the perfect opportunity to build a special relationship. And it looks like that relationship has broken down for any football fan out there. The best thing and the pride of your club is seeing somebody come out of your academy and having a successful career at that specific football club. So it is a shame whether you like it or not. But Marcus Rashford can't dwell on the past anymore, and it looks inevitable that he will leave Manchester United. So this is Marcus Rashford's biggest decision in a long time. He needs to get this decision right, because if it doesn't go well, he's going to look back on his career and be like, what if? And before we get into the video, I'm going to put the interview on the screen for you to read. You don't need me to read it out, because you have probably read this and heard about it a million times in the past 24 hours. So if you do want to read it, it's on there for you. Now, look, I think Marcus Rashford was respectful in his interview. He treated Man United with respect. He said he'll always be a Red regardless of what happens. And I thought if anybody's heard Ruben Amorim's interview afterwards, brilliant. He is a man of dignity. He's a man of pride. He respects anyone. And I just thought it was touch of class from Ruben Amorim. Didn't single out Marcus Rashford as a bad egg. And he said, look, why not his future lying here with Manchester United? I know that's a play on words sort of thing, but I just thought his interview was absolutely spot on. And he's actually really intelligent, the way he conducts the interview, the way he controls the interviews. I just thought it was a touch of class, so I wanted to get out there. But look, this is not going to be a Marcus Rashford witch hunt. This is not to attack Marcus Rashford or Manchester United, the club, but I just think it's best if they both go their separate ways. So it's time to get into the video and look at which specific club would suit Marcus Rashford himself. Now, there's only a selection of clubs that he could likely go to because of wages, profile, and probably how big he is in the football market. So the clubs we're going to be looking at is French club PSG, Italian clubs Inter and Juve, Spanish clubs Barca, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. And then you've got your two German clubs, Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich. And I really hope Marcus Rashford makes the right decision, because there's nothing better than a player reaching his potential, playing with a smile on his face. So let's put our Marcus Rashford head on for a second, and then let's look at which club would be the best choice for him. So let's look at the most obvious club, probably the one that he's been linked to in the past, and that is Paris Saint-Germain. I kind of feel like if Marcus came on the market 2 or 3 years ago, PSG would be all over this. But in recent years, they have changed the recruitment strategy. They're not looking for that marquee signing anymore. They're signing young talent and looking to develop them into a future star. Now, for that reason, I don't actually think it would be the best fit for Marcus Rashford, because they've already locked down that left wing position. They've got Bradley Barcola, they've got Desire Doué, who both look like excellent talents. Now, I'm not saying Marcus Rashford can't get in ahead of them, but if I'm PSG, I'm just thinking they've invested a lot of money in those two. Marcus doesn't want to play as a centre forward, and they do actually need a centre forward. So if he was open to that, could actually work, but he wants to play left wing, and I just feel like you don't want to hinder the development of the two young talents that you are looking to bring through. So if Marcus is to go to PSG, they would have to loan out one of those, and most likely Desire Doué, because he's an excellent talent and you don't want to stunt any of his development. And then you think about the environment. Rashford needs to pick the right environment for him. I think PSG are slowly building that correct structure and environment. When you think of the players and their application, like João Neves, Vitinha, Bradley Barcola, Desire Doué, these are players that do work hard off the ball as well as on the ball. Marcus Rashford into that environment, I just don't think it's going to be a good fit because of his application. So unless he's willing to change his application, I think it would be an okay move, but it wouldn't be the best move for him. But there are a lot of factors that come into signing a player. There are wages, there is his personality, there is his ability, there is his consistency, and there's also his application. So as a club looking to buy Marcus Rashford, these are all the aspects you're going to be looking at. I think the main priority for PSG is finding players with the right application. And if his time at Man United is anything to go by, it's not the right signing for them. It might be the right signing for Marcus because he'll get his money. They can afford him because they're not paying out millions for Mbappe. So for him personally, it could actually be a good fit. But for PSG, I would stay away. So now let's turn our attention to Vamos España. First up, Real Madrid. This one is going to be quite easy. Just a straight no. Real Madrid do not need Marcus Rashford. They've got Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, Rodrigo. They do not need Marcus Rashford. They've just spent heavily on Mbappe. Yes, they're signing him for a free, but his wages, probably signing on fee, will all play its part. From a Rashford point of view, yes, Real Madrid sounds amazing. Realistically, he's not going to get as much game time as he wants, and I think he's at the stage of his career where he needs to be playing week in, week out. And Real Madrid, as it is at the moment, are still trying to find the right formula to fit in Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Jude Bellingham. They still haven't found that formula, so put Marcus Rashford into that. It's just going to escalate it even more. So I do not think Real Madrid is a suitable or likely destination. So then you think, who else? What about Real Madrid's biggest rivals, Atletico Madrid? Could this be a right fit for Marcus Rashford? Well, if I'm Rashford, I'm staying away from this for a couple of reasons. Atletico Madrid playing a 4-4-2. This does not suit Marcus Rashford at all, because if he was to play on the left-hand side, it's more of a left midfielder rather than a left wide forward. And I think to get the best out of Marcus Rashford, he needs to be playing as a wide forward. But then you also look at the manager and what he demands from his players. Like I mentioned earlier, if his time at Manchester United is anything to go by, the application he puts out is not what Diego Simeone is looking for. And then you say, well, can he play as a centre forward? Yes, he could play in the centre forward as a 2, but they've just spent the best part of 80 million in a centre forward in Julian Alvarez. So I just can't see them forking out 40 million for Marcus Rashford as well as paying for his wages. And again, if I'm looking at Diego Simeone, I'm probably seeing this as a João Felix situation where there is a personality clash where he doesn't quite fit into the system, but yet you need to give him game time because he's a big investment. So I would just see it resulting in the same way as a João Felix. So I don't think Atletico Madrid is a realistic option or the best option for Marcus Rashford. Now, realistically, there's only one other club in Spain where he could go, and that is the bright lights of Barcelona. Now, this is where it gets interesting because this could actually work only if Barca can get their financial situation in order. But let's take a step back and look at it from a playing style perspective. Barca playing a 4-2-3-1, which fits Marcus Rashford's profile to a T. Now, what about the squad that Barca already have? They've got Lamine Yamal, Dani Olmo, Rafinha, and Lewandowski, who normally take up that top 4 positions. Now, this is where it gets interesting because what you could see at the minute it's Lamine Yamal on the right, Dani Olmo is that attack midfielder, then you got Rafinha as a left wide forward, then you got Lewandowski up top. Lewandowski can stay up top. Lamine Yamal can stay on the right wing. Now, this is where it gets interesting because what you could do is move Rafinha into that attacking midfielder position because he's got quality and he's got the profile that fits there, and you can play Marcus Rashford on the left. And that would just give Barca a different dimension, more options on how to beat the opposition. Then you've also got Dani Olmo to come off the bench. So it just gives them that different options. So I actually could see him working out at Barca. And then another thing to consider for Marcus Rashford is the structure and environment. He needs the right environment and structure. And I actually think Barca, considering what we've seen in the past couple of years, are starting to build a very respectable structure under Hansi Flick, bringing through youth through their academy, which they always do. And it looks like as a football club, they're starting to run themselves a lot more professionally. You've also got to consider the squad dynamics. And I think Barca are putting together a squad that's going quietly under the radar about their professionalism and ambitions. And that's the key word. You need to put in Rashford into a squad with big ambitions. When you got the likes of Lamine Yamal, Kubrasi, Pedri, Gavi, Marc Bernal, all young, hungry, wanting to give a lot of football, that could be the right environment for Marcus Rashford. So if I'm Marcus Rashford and there's any Spanish club that I would look to go to, probably Barcelona. So now our attention turns to Deutschland, Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. So let's start with Bayern Munich. I think for Marcus Rashford himself, this could be a great opportunity, brilliant environment, a very stabilized club And that's exactly what he needs. Now, from a Bayern Munich perspective, they're not ones to fork out a lot of money on wages. So if he was to go to Bayern Munich, he would have to take a wage cut. But to be honest, I don't think Rashford is in a position where he can demand elite level wages. Look, as a squad, Bayern Munich squad is not getting any younger. They've got Kingsley Coman, who's not getting any younger. Leroy Sané, whose contract runs out shortly. They've got Serge Gnabry, who's not getting any younger. So bringing in Marcus Rashford could really help Bayern Munich. But then you look at the youngsters that do have. They've got Jamal Musiala, who occupies that attacking midfielder role. That's not a position Marcus Rashford needs, but I just want to mention him. And then you've also got the likes of Matthias Tell, Paul Wanner, who's on loan at the moment. And they've also just invested heavily in Michael Olise. But Michael Olise plays on the right-hand side. So bringing in Marcus Rashford wouldn't actually be a bad opportunity for Bayern Munich. But again, just like the Desire Doué situation, if Marcus Rashford does go to Bayern Munich, they're going to have to loan out Matthias Tell because at the minute, his development is not getting developed. He needs to be playing week in, week out. He's too talented not to be. So if Marcus Rashford is to go to Bayern Munich, you would have to allow Matthias Tell to go out on loan because he's not going to play over Harry Kane and you're not going to invest heavily in Marcus Rashford just to sit on the bench. But I do feel like there could be a place at Bayern Munich for Marcus Rashford. Like I said, Leroy Sané, he hasn't signed a new contract yet. His contract's up very shortly. Serge Gnabry's getting older. Kingsley Coman's getting older. So that does open a door for that left wing position. You could just see it now. Rashford on the left, Musiala in the attack midfielder role, Michael Olise on the right, and Harry Kane as a centre forward. It actually worked. And then you look at Borussia Dortmund. I think there's two sides to look at this one because for Marcus Rashford himself, this would be a perfect club because it's not high pressures where you've got to win the Champions League or got to win the league every season, but it's a great stabilized club, a nice, comfortable, loving environment. And I think that could work for Marcus Rashford's favour. However, from a Borussia Dortmund perspective, they don't have the money or the finances to pay for a player like Marcus Rashford. So he would have to take a substantial pay cut, and I just can't see him doing that. And Borussia Dortmund are a club that pride themselves on their academy, bringing through youth talent, selling them on for a higher fee and making a substantial profit. You look at Jamie Gittins at the moment, undoubtedly he's going to leave Borussia Dortmund in the near future. He'll get prized out of there. And that opens a door for Marcus Rashford? Actually, I don't think so because they've got plenty of wide forwards in their academy at the moment. When you think of Duran, yes, he plays on the right, but he's another wide forward. When you think of Ousmane Diallo, when you think of Cole Campbell, Diego Nambia, and then there's also Matthias Albert. So Borussia Dortmund have already prepared for the departures of their star men like Jamie Gittins or maybe Karim Adeyemi. So realistically, I just can't see it happening. That leaves us with one other league in Europe, and that is Italia. Ciao bello! And realistically, there's only probably two clubs that he could go to, and that is Inter and Juve. I'm going to rule out AC Milan because they've got Rafael Leao and I just can't see him replacing Leao. And if you're Marcus Rashford representatives, you want to be guaranteed game time. He's not going to move just to sit on the bench. I've seen a lot of shouts on social media that Inter could be the right fit for Marcus Rashford, and I completely disagree. His profile does not fit the system they play. Inzaghi sets up in a 3-5-2, so they play with wing-backs. I cannot see Marcus Rashford playing as a wing-back. I'll give you two examples. Matteo Darmian's games this season. Look at the average positioning. There's a lot of defensive work that's needed, and I don't think Marcus Rashford has the right application, nor does he want to be heavily involved in defensive duties. The only way I can see him fitting in at Inter is if he's part of a duo up top, but he's already spoken about not wanting to play as a centre forward. So if you're Marcus Rashford and his representatives, and you're looking at Inter Milan and you're thinking, well, do I really fit in? Because I don't want to play as a wing back, don't want to play as a centre forward, so where do I fit in? Unless Inter Milan are willing to adapt their system, which would be absolutely ridiculous, or Marcus Rashford is willing to play as a wing back, he may as well just stay at Man United under Ruben Amorim. So although the environment could be good fit for him because Inter are one of the big dogs in Italy, just can't see it happening just for the profile wise, because he just doesn't have the profile to fit in that system. And football is all about spending on the right profiles to fit your football club. A winning team is always built on profiles and partnership. Marcus Rashford doesn't have the right profile, fit partnerships within the Inter squad. So last but not least is Juventus. Now this is where it gets interesting once again, because formation-wise, Juve play the right formation to fit Marcus Rashford's profile. They play and set up in a 4-2-3-1. Now, I've watched a lot of Juve this season, and it looks like they are desperate and crying out for a left winger or an attack midfielder. So this is my thoughts on the Juve. Now, throughout this season, Juve have been toying and rotating with the idea of playing Kenan Yildiz as a left winger or an attack midfielder. When he plays on the left-hand side, they play Cooper Menez in that attack midfielder role, and it takes out a lot of creativity in that final third. It doesn't complement Cooper Menez's ability, and it doesn't get the best out of him. Now, when you play Kenan Yildiz in that centre attack midfielder role, he can thrive in that position. He's good in the pockets play, he's got good technical ability, he's got good vision, got good creativity. So ideally, Juve want to play Kenan Yildiz in that attack midfielder role. So that opens up the space on the left-hand side. Now, they do have a very talented footballer coming through their ranks at the moment, and we've seen him scoring on his debut, and that's Samuel Bangula. Now, although I think he's going to be a wonderful player in the future, and he's a player that Juve should be extremely excited about, he's not got the right experience, or he's not in that stage of his development where he can really take on the responsibility. So bringing in a Marcus Rashford could also help him and manage his minutes, but also move Kenan Yildiz in that attack midfielder role, so it allows Juve to continue having that creativity in the final third. So I actually think Juve could actually be a good fit for Rashford. Whether they can afford him, I don't know, but Juve are a type of team that always seem to find a way. When you think of the signings of Ronaldo, they always seem to find the money from somewhere, whether that be in the sofa somewhere, I don't know. But profile-wise, club-wise, because they're a club that play Champions League football, they've got a good group of hungry young players. I actually think it would be the right environment, but also profile and formation to fit Marcus Rashford. Now, the thing is, I also want to look at English clubs such as Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham to see if he could be the right fit, but I genuinely believe that Man United will not sell him on loan or permanently to an English club, because they'll just look down the road and see what impact Jadon Sancho has had at Chelsea. I just can't see him making the same mistake twice. But I also believe move away from the Premier League, experiencing a different culture, just having a complete fresh start and scenery would be best. I think it's quite clear where I think my preferred destination would be for Rashford. I don't want to talk about the Saudi Pro League because he shouldn't go there. But look, that's enough from me. I would love to hear your thoughts. Drop me a comment in the below. Where do you think his future lies? But most importantly, if you were in Rashford's shoes, where would you choose? I would love to hear your thoughts, so drop us a comment in the below. But again, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, so you don't miss out on another episode. And like always, I just want to say I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for watching.